A good day. Welcome back to the Chai Academy. This is part 3 of a self-help course of how to define oneself. Each class, even though it's part of a course, it is still self-encapsulated. So even if you missed yesterday, the previous class, it's not a you can still understand everything. So we've been discussing about being oneself. Being oneself, if one really understands oneself and is able to be themselves, it will lead to a life of fulfillment, a life of meaning, etc. And over the past couple of classes, we have discussed seven ideas, and today we'll discuss the 3 more. So the first idea, just a quick review. This first idea is one should know where they came from, who they are, what the history is, parents, grandparents, culture, customs. If you're anchored and rooted, it's much better than floundering, and you become a vagabond, a ship in the sea. If its engines are off and it has no anchor, it will get lost at sea. So that's the first thing, to really understand to the best of your ability who you are, who's your nation, who's your people, what do they stand for, etc., etc. The second was don't limit, having understanding now who you are, where you're from. Don't let that only define you. See if you can. Don't limit your horizons. Expand. The third thing we discussed was strengths. Know your strengths. We all know our weaknesses. The question is, do we know our strengths? We have a unique fingerprint. We have a unique. There's a unique mission that each one of us have, and it's all to do with your strengths. What are your strengths? And if it's not your strength, and you have something better, then that makes more sense for a happy life and a fulfilled life, a meaningful life, is if you focus on your strengths. Don't let others. The next one is don't let others determine your value. Clearly, we cannot be who we are based on others. We have to have the wherewithal to be our own person. And this is especially when you think of a legacy, right? You think of the father went into the army, the grandfather went into the army, the great grandfather went into the army. It is. You can go into the army. It's great. It's a legacy. But if it doesn't talk to you, you don't have to, right? You find something else that's can bring pride and meaning and joy to yourself and to your family. And friends particularly, this one is really more in friendship, is don't let your friends make you who you are. Blaze your own trail, and be careful who you pick also. The next one was be authentic, right? You have to live with integrity. You have to live, don't live to please others, etc. The next one is personality. Know yourself. Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? Know when you need to go out of your comfort zone. Know where it's okay to stay in your comfort zone. Know your comfort zone. Right? Somebody who has a phobia of public speaking clearly should not work at a university in the capacity as a professor, right? I mean, many times you can get over this phobia, but that's, chances are it's not your forte and it's not your personality, and to take the job even though it's not your personality is can be mentally deleterious to your mental status, right? And it could be it can affect your physical. So know your personality. The last one we spoke in the previous class before we forge ahead to the new ones is that sometimes you got to be an actor. Sometimes you have to act as if. Sometimes you just have to. You don't feel like going to the family Thanksgiving, right? It's not okay if you don't go. If it means a lot to your spouse, as an example. So you act, go, act. It's 2 hours, act. Right? If you're not a smiling person, smile. Force yourself to smile. If you're a angry person, learn, force yourself, go to anger management classes, etc., etc. The mind the mind is so powerful. It's amazing. I know somebody, and for the life of me, this is the furthest thing from what I would do, but this person has dental work done without the benefit of anesthesia, and basically is so focused inwardly, their mind is in control of them, is that they can tolerate the pain. It makes no sense to me. It's illogical. It's irrational. I think, if somebody wants to work on my teeth, you put me to sleep. If you want to work on my body, you put me to sleep. And, if you want to, if you want to, give me an epidural, as soon as possible. That's the type of person I am. But the idea is your mind is in control, and according to Kabbalistic sources, your mind has to be in control. One cannot let. I'm not even talking about pain. I told you that doesn't make sense. But the by the way, there are people who cannot take anesthesia. It doesn't work for them or makes them very sick. So not sure how that works, but your mind has to be over matter, right? And therefore, you tell yourself, smile, right? Smile, because it's the right thing to do, and to walk around with a scowl and a frown, smile. So you may ask, hold on, if I'm acting as if, it's not authentic. So the answer to that is, if you have a personality flaw, not a preference, but a flaw, you have a scowl continuously on your face, it's not good. It's not good for your marriage. It's not good for your kids. It's not good for your work environment. It's not good for your social environment, for your religious environment. It goes against the Torah, etc. Then practice smiling. And after a certain amount of time, it will actually become a part of you. A part of you. Just does. So that answers the contradiction about authenticity. The next one on my list is you have to be able to say no. Don't compromise your value. If it compromises your value, and this is probably the most important thing I can tell you thus far. If it compromises your value, you think it compromises your value. It's immoral. It challenges your integrity. Say no, and don't feel bad. Do not feel bad. Right? Just don't. So I was fundraising once in Manhattan, and this fellow, he said, instead of meeting me in the office, meet me at my favorite restaurant. So right away I said, uh-oh. And he gave me the name of the restaurant. I says, I'm sorry, I can't come. I keep kosher. I cannot come. Right? So he says, Joey, well, just come have the salad. I said, I don't do that. Just come have the water. I don't do that. Right? So he goes, well, what if I tell you that this is the only way I can meet you? So I said, well, I have another idea. There's a kosher restaurant, right? But I told him, but regardless, by me going to a non-kosher restaurant, for someone like me, compromises my value. And therefore, I have no choice. I'm not going to compromise my value. Who compromise their values a lot? Politicians. Right? They have a value. They tell you that, yes, we want this to happen, to safety on the streets, etc., extra cops. And then all of a sudden a donor calls them and tells them, no, I don't like your platform on defund the police or etc. And then because they need the guy's money, they say, oh we don't want to get extra cops on the street. It's going to backfire. You need a backbone. Can't be wishy-washy. And you just say no. So we know there's that campaign, just say no to drugs, etc. But it's true of anything that is shady. It's interesting in the books of Kabbalistic teachings. It says, in the book of Tanya as an example, it says as follows: God does not expect you to be a tzaddik, to be righteous. It's not expected of you. If God wants you to be a tzaddik, completely righteous, completely sin-free, and always do the right thing, He would have made you an angel. Or He would have made you, from birth, a tzaddik, or an incredibly holy person. But He didn't. So what are the expectations? He knows I'm a flawed human being. He knows I have a flawed personality. He knows that. He knows this. He knows that. Right? He knows that I let others determine my value, etc., etc. He knows that I'm just not. What are the expectations? So Tanya, to me, is brilliant. Tanya says, while it's very difficult to control your speech, you can. You want to gossip, and it's pleasurable to gossip. You want to be a talebearer, you want to scoff, you want to this, curse, you want to curse out someone, etc., etc. Just don't. You haven't changed your inner self, but you don't act on your impulse. You don't speak and act. The next thing is action. You want to punch this person out? You don't. You want to steal, an iPhone? Just don't. Basically, just say no to yourself. Now, if you never say anything bad, and you don't do anything bad, how are you not a tzaddik? And I think the answer to that is because you still have these thoughts. A tzaddik reaches a point where it's not, it doesn't even have the, we're talking about a true holy person, very few and far between. And that's the point. God didn't make them a lot. There's very few and far between. It doesn't have this, I want to curse this person out. It's not part of their makeup any longer anyway, or it never was perhaps, most likely. So I think that is the idea, is that you can control your thoughts. Your thoughts say, give this guy, ball him out, hit him, steal, cheat, plunder, rape. No, I'm not going to do it. That's what we mean, just say no. If it compromises your values, just say no. And that's the expectations of you. You can't avoid, for most people can't avoid meeting bad people. They just say, no, I'm not going to get involved in your shenanigans. No, me, Yakov Saacks, I keep kosher, and therefore I'm not going to meet Peter Lucas. I'm not going to. Right? Either lettuce, I'm not going to. It's just, it's not an option. So, while most of the things are an option, you could curse, you could this, you could that, you could, say something, do something that's negative, but to the best of your ability, just say no. And it's doable, That's the brilliance, is that it is doable. Right? They tell a story of a fellow by the name of Rabbi Riskin, Shlomo Riskin. Used to be the Lincoln Square synagogue. So there was this fellow that used to have a potty mouth. Hey, Rabbi, I want to... Finally, Rabbi Riskin could handle it no longer and says, listen, I'm going to make a deal with you. For every time you curse, it's $5 in the charity box. And you could write a check. So the fellow laughed. Anyway, $40 later, he said, $40. Yeah, I had a good time with the rabbi. And eventually, it started to become expensive. And he stopped cursing, and he was able to stop cursing. And the idea was that Rabbi Riskin used this tactic to stop him just using the F-bomb. Right? Chances are the guy wasn't a contractor. If he was a contractor, Riskin would have had no influence on him whatsoever. But you're able to, bottom line, not do it. Moving on. If you have any questions, by the way, on this or any other, please ask and participate. The next thing is boundaries, right? Boundaries is look. Yeah, don't let somebody shake up your life rhythm, right? And your personality belongs to you. Your body belongs to you. And people, and by the way, it works both ways. So you expect people to respect your boundaries, but also you have to respect their boundaries. And we're not only talking about boundaries where you can't, buddy, you can't call me 11 o'clock. Or, Mom, I'm married to her. You have to respect that. Stop. You're crossing a boundary. Right? But even trying to convince somebody, we see this a lot in the COVID or post-COVID era. I'm not sure which era we're in, but everybody seeks to convince everybody what the right thing. Oh, you're not vaccinated? You're a buffoon. You are vaccinated? You're a buffoon. Mask is a joke. Mask is pathetic. Mask is a must. I don't care, Rabbi, what Kathy Hochul says. You've got to be masked in your synagogue. I don't know. And I don't care, Rabbi. You must be vaccinated. I don't know. I mean, I am, and I wear a mask when I need to, when I'm supposed to. I would never flout the law. But just because you feel that vaccines are terrible, it doesn't mean that I have to feel that way. And we find this in the COVID era, and we find this with politics. If you watch Fox News, I'll never talk to you again. If you watch CNN News, I'll never talk to you again. Right? No. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. Let somebody be somebody. Right? They're not... It's their prerogative. If I choose to put a vaccine in my body, that's my prerogative. I don't have to be ridiculed for it. If I choose not to have a vaccine in my body, that's fine. Complete full respect. However, there may be consequences where at some point you couldn't go into a restaurant in New York City. Right? But nobody's going to ridicule you. I respect you. So boundaries and politics, and it's terrible. The country is so divided, and I'm a common sense guy. I see good in all sides and all parties. I was a little bit of a hothead in the past, but I see a middle ground, and I believe everybody can work together. But I'm not going to inflict I'm not God's judge, jury, or executioner. That's not for me. I won't cross those boundaries. I will not. For somebody to tell me what to do, or for me to tell somebody what to do, is crossing a boundary. You must do this because I said so, is crossing a boundary. Crossing a boundary. You want that respect from someone else, you need to give that respect to someone else. And tell me if I'm wrong. I think this is common sense. Right? And feelings aside, common sense has nothing to do with feelings. The next one on my list is, I think Rabbi Hillel said it best. If not now, then when? Right? You have a dream? Follow your dream. You want to do something? Do it. I'm not talking about murder. I'm talking about, you want to do something? You have a bucket list? Do it. As long as it doesn't hurt people. It doesn't cause acrimony between you and your spouse. You're not an absentee parent, but do it. Do it. As long as it's not hurting somebody, do it. You have a dream? I want to learn how to be a portrait painter. Try it out. You may succeed, you may fail. You may be the next Picasso. You may be the next Michelangelo, right? Just do it. It's very interesting. The Hebrew word for dream is chalom. 3 Hebrew letters. Chet, lamet, mem. Chalom. The Hebrew word for bread, i.e. sustenance, is lechem. It's the same letters. Because thoughts should be, positive thoughts, should be implemented. You have a good idea? Share it. You want to do something? You're thinking, wow, I want to do X, Y, and Z. Then do it. You are, once again, your thoughts always have to supersede your emotions. So if your thoughts, and it's a good thought, then why not pursue it? Now, there are sometimes it's completely impossible, right? So for me, I would love to go out in space, but I can't afford SpaceX, and I'm not exactly going to sign up to take the astronaut fitness course, because I would fail. But I have no desire to be to be an MMA, to be a mixed martial arts, fighter. But space intrigues me. But it's impossible. So it remains in thought. Nothing I can do. Certain things are impossible. But if it's not impossible, if it's doable, and it's positive, and it's invigorating, and it gives you happiness, then follow your dream. Right? It's if it's against Torah, if it's immoral, yeah, then you can't, of course. But otherwise, all things being equal, right? Do it. Just do it. And if not now, when? So Judaism has a very big focus on on moving with alacrity. Right. So when a baby's going to be breast or circumcision, we try to do it in the morning early. Right. We prayer services in the morning. We don't wait till the afternoon. We pray in the morning, and we're even taught in the Code of Jewish Law that when you wake up, okay, you press the snooze button, but once, you press it 8 times. You gotta realize that you got a mission to accomplish, and therefore you have to move with alacrity. Being sloth, lazy, being just procrastinate for the sake of procrastination is frowned upon in Judaism. So, 10 thoughts. I am wondering what your take is on all of this. I'd be interested if you would be able to share another thought. So I came up with these 10 building blocks of defining oneself. I'm sure there are more, and I would be interested in having a dialogue and discussing this further. Please feel free to let others know of this resource that's available if you care to do so. If you think it's worthwhile, and you can see this and other courses on Facebook, thechaicenter.com/academy, Spotify, Anchor, Podpage, who knows what else. All right, God bless. We'll see each other soon.